Hello again. It's been a long time, a very long time, 4 months I think, if not more. The reason for this is that this update is very big, but also because I've been traveling and doing other stuff, I've actually relaxed here and there, but not to a greater extent. But I have taken down the tempo a notch, and I think that's healthy. I needed that. But now I'm back in business and I'm really looking forward to making more patches. And let me tell you about this patch. It's version 63 called Tourism. And it's an awkward patch to talk about because in this patch I've basically done many things that are not worth talking about really. But together they are something. But yeah, so I won't be talking about everything, but I'll be talking about some highlights. Regularly, I usually do patches that have 2 or 3 really prominent features, but this one, well, it has tourism, but it's mostly about polish. It's been about polish, it's been about finishing up and making the city builder of the game in an acceptable state. So let's start. First thing I've done is to enable the injection of Java code into mods. So if you're a modder and you know some Java, you can now use the game and develop your own mods. And theoretically you can do anything, but then you need to be quite savvy. And practically you can do like timed events and stuff like that. It's quite simple. I've done 3 mods here, which are basically all events, like if this happens, do this, and they're quite simple, and you can enable them like this and they will run with the game. So that will hopefully spice up the modding scene a bit. I've done some difficulty settings here for some of you wanted that. I'm against difficulty settings in general, but I think for now they will do. I appreciate that there are people, much like me, that kind of don't have the time to put into this game that the game needs. But there are, on the other hand, there are plenty of other games that are more simple that takes a lot less time to get into and to master. So I don't know, it's a double-edged sword. Of course, I'm not trying to alienate anyone by design, but yeah, it is what it is. It's a complicated game, and that's the way I liked it. I wanted to make it, and I will play it once I retire. I won't play it now when I'm developing this and have kids and all that, because that's simply not doable. Okay, so let me just check my list. Attached to the game are the patch note. I actually remembered to put in the patch note this time. I might have missed a few notes, but most of it is there, so I'll just read from that list. The first thing I started doing this patch was the climate. As you can see, it's all white here, and that's because it's actually snow, in case you didn't see that. Here we have snow, it's gonna melt and it's gonna snow, and if it downfall, if it snows, it's gonna build up like this. And the whole weather thing and climate thing has been completely rebuilt, so it looks a lot different. The map, I think it looks even prettier. I didn't think that was possible, but I think I actually managed to make it look prettier. And we have now, it's picked the northern climate. I don't know why, but it's a kind of a boring season. It looks a bit like my country now, like Sweden. During 10 months of the year it looks like this, more or less. And but there's a lot going on, a lot of new stuff. You got for instance a lot of wind effects. You got wind in the grass, and you got wind in every kind of thing there should be wind in, I think. And yeah, so all of this is a simulation, a quite advanced simulation. You have everything depending on everything else, and so you're gonna have ripeness. This is for flowers and growths, and for instance, edibles. You have the mushrooms. As you can see, I've done a bit of work on the minimap. It's prettier, and I've condensed the wild growable stuff, so you'll know where it's at, and it's concentrated on spots, so you'll manage it easier, I think. And all of these things, this is kind of boring, but I've done some nice. You can see these are moving too with the wind, and we have wind here. And let's put some fruit on that, so it's swaying in the wind. And also the animal spawn spots have had a facelift. They're now tied to a spot. They're not all over the map, and the spawn rate and the regeneration rate is fixed, so it's more straightforward to hunt now, which is nice. Yes, moving on. Okay, so the previous version was very tied to the tech tree in order to build stuff, and it was also tied to resources. So for instance, metal was, or it has been now the game since now, very tied to, well, mostly metal has been the bottleneck for everything, right? And I've changed that now. So for instance, mines, if we want to build a mine, we can do so now without metal. Where is the coal? There we go, and build some storage. And auxiliaries, you can max out the auxiliaries without having to worry about metal initially. Oh yes, need to max this out. This was very hard to max out, but I guess that's by design now. Here we go. Let me just finish this one. There we go, and as you can see, it's a very primitive room right now, and we have the option to upgrade. So the first upgrade will cost metal, and the second update will cost a new resource called machine bits, and it's you have an entry for that, and it's basically well, it's an expensive resource really. And there's visual upgrades as well, which is nice, so city will change visually as you progress now. And I put these upgrades on all refiners, all mines, and some workshops. Some workshops are still locked because they're kind of late game mechanics, but right now you can get a pretty advanced city going in your own pace, in your own configuration. Yeah, so that's upgrades, and I've also, this time around, I've refactored is when you rewrite mechanics in a code base, and I've done that for rooms, so they use another spriting system, which is a lot easier to mod, and a lot easier to make pretty, because you can reuse so many pretty things that's already in the game. So that's worth checking out. If you have room mods, you can check out the new spriting system and make them pretty without having to actually draw anything. Yep, that's that. And the minimap I talked about, I might as well mention that I fixed the zoom. There was an issue with the zoom, but now that should work flawlessly. Zoom in and out as intended. Yeah, and decorations. I put some effort into decorations this time around, so that you will have your own little squares and throne rooms and whatnot you want to create, and it will look nice. We can just, I'll show you for instance a hearth. Might as well chip this in now that people will freeze and overheat a lot more now because of the swinging temperatures, and you'll get warnings actually when it's very cold or very hot, and you'll get notifications as well when people are freezing and overheating. And the reason for this is that it's basically the early game. You know, the few games I've played recently have been banished, for instance, and that's mostly about getting firewood and food, and that's early game in Songs of Syx, and I don't want to fall short in the early game, so to speak. So I emphasized a few bits that you need to focus on early game, and then you can move on and don't really care about that later. But a hearth, but this is a neat thing that some service rooms have upgrades too, so you'll only get half of the satisfaction from this room until you upgrade it and have some more materials. So it's more incremental progress in this version as well. And decorations, I've added a few new ones. I've added a neat thing that are benches that you can place anywhere, and what these do, they attract people in the vicinity to go there and have a sit. Why is this good? Because they will absorb all the goodness, the awe, the harmony and such from that place. So you can basically herd your people into the right place to have a sit, and yeah. And I've also a new decoration called flower beds. Looks nice. These aren't in bloom yet, so let's put them in bloom. I think I can do it here. I can. It won't stick though. Need to keep it here. Flower beds. I think this will be appreciated. Initially, I was gonna add a lot more monuments this time around, but you know, it's little gain for a lot of effort because they're quite cumbersome to draw and make satisfactory. So I'm hoping there will be a mod adding a few that I can steal from. Yeah. I also have this humidifier for the Garthini that emits dread. They look kind of nasty, and all of this can be done. These kind of monuments can be done through text files. You don't need to code or anything. Even animations and things are controlled from those files, so that's good. And let me just unlock everything. Okay, and I think I just want to show you my pretty squares, or plaza, I think they were named to. Yeah, but I didn't have to do that, did I? I have the debug thing here. Plaza. And as you can see, these change too. I've done some magic here that so that the floor underneath a monument will change based on the surrounding floor. I think that will work to satisfaction. I'm not sure. Anyway, that's the focus on decorations for this time around. Yeah, and I've done some minor changes to housing based on feedback from last round. The big change is that they now need the thick walls. I know that some actually liked the thin walls, same as I did, but they were right that it kind of clashed with the other stuff, and I also found a reason to have thick walls. It's because the isolation will decrease the wear of the furniture, which I think was a nice touch. And it also simplifies a lot of code, so I just went with it. And but apart from that, there's no big change. And UI-wise, I've tried to filter away as much superfluous information as possible for new players, so you can see all of these stuff are grayed out until they become actually important to your current game. You can still access them and everything, but they'll stay grayed out. But housing is okay because we have no homeless people. Here we go. So I made a panel for housing because it's quite of a big deal, and it's a lot of information here. I've made sure to link stuff so that you can find stuff easier, new players. I'm not sure this update is much for for veteran players, but it will definitely be easier for new players to get into the game. Yeah, and we have the overlay. The overlay has been improved. Everything has been improved. Hopefully we won't have any homeless issues anymore, and if we do, it will be easy to spot the problems. I've redone all the overlays to this. Might as well. Here we go. These are the new overlays. They look like this. See, we don't have anything. Fertility, for instance, looks like this. It's a grayscale, a little blue, hopefully suitable for color blindness and not too offensive for those who are not colorblind. I added two new things, which are sweet water and salt water. We don't have any salt water here, but sweet water. And I've ditched irrigation completely, so the map now dynamically checks for sweet water access. And if it has sweet water access, the surrounding area is going to be more fertile. You can see that clearly here, for instance. And this is going to happen if you dig dig canals anywhere. You're going to have not only grass is going to grow greener, but you're going to have vegetation as well, trees and flowers and such. So that's cool. So it's very dynamic now, the map. It's alive. Yeah, and next on the agenda are we talked about animals and edibles, events. I've added a lot of events this time around just to spice things up, keep things interesting, a bit more interesting at least. We have events for all farms like droughts and pestilence and even bountiful harvests. So in the long run, these are all going to even out, but they can have a very big impact short term. So keep your stockpiles fully stocked is my advice. Fisheries also have events, and there are a lot of events. I forgot where I put them all, but I think you'll be pleasantly surprised now and then. New events. The Wikipedia. For some reason, the Wikipedia was broken. I don't know for how many patches it's been broken, but a lot of articles were gone. I don't know why. Now they're back. They're even more outdated than they used to be, but they should be to some use, maybe. You'll still need to get external help, most probably, if you want to play this game. But this should be of help, to some help at least, and hopefully people will want to contribute more articles, more information to it. And you can see we have multiple windows, so I moved the species information to the wiki, so you can compare two species here, for instance. Check them out. And then a big thing I've done this time around is because I figured that new players, they intuitively click a dude and go from there because they play games where you control the dudes, but in Songs of Syx you don't. But it's always good to be met by something more friendly, user-friendly. So I know that Dwarf Fortress has this kind of biography going for everyone, and I try to do the same. It still needs some work, but you have a unique batch of text, an informative batch of text here. I don't want to, make it too superficial, just for flavor, because I want all the info to actually have an impact on the game. So I try to do that, but I also try to add some flavor, like they have friends and stuff, which they actually do, but doesn't really have any impact on the core mechanics. But a big thing here is that they will actually tell you what they want. Okay, so this guy wants bigger food stores, and he wants more organic buildings, he wants access to hearths, and he wants access to speakers. And this is all a lot easier than to eventually figure out all of this, right? And you also have this here. So and these can be very funny to read, I must say. I've had a lot of fun reading them. And also you have some immediate actions you can apply to your population if you're in a risk of a riot or uprising. You can either do stuff here directly, give free drinks, handouts in denaries, give a day off, or arrest, simply arrest. If you dislike someone very much, maybe their face drawings offends you, or their teeth, or whatever, you can have them arrested, why not? And this is for increasing happiness, of course, and you can do this in bulk. It's over here. You don't have any money, but you can declare day off, and you can give free drinks, but it's done in the tavern, so it won't have any effect right now. And of course this is kind of neat because it presents you with a dilemma. So you have plummeting happiness, and you need to do something about it. You declare a day off, in which case production will plummet, right? So it's kind of fun. It's getting somewhere. I want more of this in future patches as well. Let's give them a day off. And you can see the modifiers here for all the actions. Yep. Okay, so let's get into crime first. I've done crime quite extensively. You now keep track of all the individual crimes, and they are done in a ratio that makes sense. So the most severe crime will be murders and disrespect. Disrespect is people going up to the throne and shaking their fists, just for your information, and that's the most heinous crime anyone can commit in Songs of Syx. And yeah, where was I? Never mind. I don't know. Well, yeah. I was gonna say that crime matters more now. Like flashings doesn't really matter. But thievery, for instance, they used to steal one item, and now they'll go for your most expensive item, and they might steal up to 25 items. So crimes really hurt in this sense, and also as a happiness modifier. And you can control whatever you want here, how you want things, and it has a bigger impact, a more detailed impact on your standing, your happiness. And this is all different for all races. So for instance, Kryptonians, they're a bit of hippies, so they like lenient punishments, they like imprisonment, and they don't like the harsher punishments. But of course the harsher punishments increases law more. So that's another dilemma for you. Which of the two you want? Yeah, and then there's the main thing here, which is the tourists. And I'll show you. I think we have a nice city here that has tourism set up. So tourism is a mid-late game mechanic. Finally, someone else will come in and appreciate what you've done. It works. Well, it works like this. There are four touristic races that do tourism, and they are attracted by different things. And if you have big enough industries of these things, you will attract them. And you need, I think, 100 people in each. Well, in one of the attractions to attract your first tourist, and they will go to an inn, which is here. Where are we? There we are. There we are. Getting cramped here. It's basically, if you remember the apartments from a few patches before, it's a remade apartment, and well, the tourists go here, they leave their stuff, and then they have a stroll around your city, and they will rate it according to their experience, and they will leave these funny reviews for you, how happy they are with the experience. Here's a bad experience, for instance. Could not even find any wells. That's horrendous. You like the inn though. And this is all part of your finances, of course. What's this? Oh, trade. Made some big trade here. So you can get quite a buck from tourists. This city seems to be, well, it's not a game changer really, but I believe you can earn quite a bit from tourists. But you need to grow larger. It's a late game thing, mostly, I'd say. And of course, tourists, they might eat and they might use your services, so it's not for free. So you need to keep that in mind as well. And some races might not like tourists. They have a standing here somewhere. Yeah. Okay, so these guys, they don't like some other tourists. Maybe Garthemis or something. I don't know, I should clarify that probably. Yeah, so that's few of the things I've done. I've probably done about 100 things this turnaround, but there's no need to get into all that. You'll have to discover it for yourselves, and I hope you do. Hope you feel enticed to do that. Yeah, and next update, I'm very excited about that one because it involves adding something big and new. So basically I'm going to focus entirely on the world mechanics. First thing I'm going to do, which I'm sure many of you will hate, I'm going to turn this around visually 180 degrees. It's going to look like an old treasure map, kind of faded paper, quite desaturated, borders and mountains and terrains and all of that's going to be quite desaturated, and everything that matters, like cities and armies, are going to pop out. So it's going to be a lot easier to know what's going on here. And once I'm done with that, I want to revisit the regional management mechanics. Where the hell is my city? It's over here. So what I want to do here is basically copy Rome Total War. So have buildings that you build and upgrade, slots that you use. But the big difference is going to be that you won't be able to fully upgrade regions. You'll have to choose, and you'll have to sacrifice some regions for the greater good of other regions. Um, well, you can or you can't. Well, you can have two strategies. Either you do self-sufficient regions, or you have them complement each other. So I imagine we're going to have buildings for sanitations, for instance, and as you upgrade that, you won't be able. You can upgrade. Well, the last couple of upgrades are going to give global bonuses. So one region is going to focus on health. The other region is going to focus on growth. The other region is going to focus on military, and etc. etc. And so your whole kingdom is going to be this organism with links that are very delicate. But of course you should be able to have self-sufficient regions as well if you want to play it like that. And it will still cost admin, and it will cost manpower to upgrade the regions. And yeah, and I'm thinking I'm going to try to involve you guys as much as I can into this endeavor, because I need ideas and suggestions, and I need thoughts. So we're going to do that. And of course, the big thing with the next update is going to be the other factions, that they're going to come alive. They're going to have rulers. They're going to have they're going to do things. They're going to go to war with each other and with you, and they're going to you're going to manually trade with them. I mean, manually, you're going to manually broker trade agreements and such, and request things from each other, and the basic things you do in this sort of game. I'm going to try and add that, and you're going to have a fog of war. Yeah, we'll see what will happen. I'm not quite sure. I think it's going to be good in the end. Okay, thank you very much for listening. See you next time. I hope you enjoy. Please, if you find bugs now early on, please remember to report them, preferably on Discord, but also Steamworks. I might need saves if it's a cumbersome bug. So, well, you know the drill. Thank you for listening. Bye bye.